Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to a new edition of the Face2Face show here on our EKN YouTube channel. We're streaming on Facebook as well. My name is Rob Howden. That is David Cole. It's been a while since we've done one of our Face2Face shows. I've been on the road quite a bit, as has David. So we just really haven't been here to get one out. Every time we're home, we're kind of busting our asses trying to get enough stuff done to get editorial out, whatever it may be. But David, back at it again, kind of into the off season now. A couple more races still to come. Rock Vegas, and of course the 24th running of the Super Nationals in December, but time to fire this back up and talk to some of the players in the sport.
It's not really off season, Rob. It's more of the slow season because everybody's amping up for this final push of the last few events that we do have left on the 2021 calendar before we start moving into 2022. So yeah, it's great to have you and Flat Rob here.
We'll talk about Flat Rob in a second. Hey, do you remember when we had an off season?
Me and Greg were just talking about that. Greg Bell before we you were on mute and on the phone with Donald Durbin there. There was an off season.
It used to be an off season.
You know, November was really kind of Supernats. That was it.
The Supernats were in October. At one point, the Supernats were October, and we were done.
And then everybody waited for Christmas break because you had Daytona Kart Week. And then January, there may be one or two races because Florida Winter Tour was just establishing itself. Yeah. You know, there wasn't the challenge. There wasn't, WK even tried a winter series. Other programs have tried winter events. So, it's not the same as what it used to be. But, in a turn, it's great for the industry because it continues that momentum. There's not that downtime because, again, people are still going to the kart shops and ordering stuff online and getting ready for not only the races coming up, but for the next season.
I will say this. It's good to have Flat Rob there behind you. It's nice to have that. I'm always watching what you're doing. That makes me happy.
It's only there for the show, Rob. I put it away in the closet. I put it away in the closet with the face turned around.
No, it's looking at you the whole time. So folks, good show coming today as we get things underway again with our face-to-face, our slow season shows. Lots, of course, coming up into the new year. One of the big events that happened just about a little over a week ago, was the IKF International Kart Federation GrandNationals out at the Prairie City Kart Track in Northern California, Ranco Cordova. Donald Durbin and his family running that facility and taking over that a couple of years ago. And what they've been able to do with this racetrack, I think, has been huge for Northern California karting. The passion for the sport and for people and for customer service, open, all week long. And it really has done something to really fire things up. And it's kind of one of the hubs of a lot of excitement in Northern California. They were the host of the IKF GrandNationals this year. And in following it on social media, unbelievable, the success and the positive feedback from everybody that was trackside. So Donald Durbin's going to join us. Greg Bell's with us as well from Leading Edge Motorsports, 25 years as a kart shop in Northern California, Leading Edge and Lodi. They're both going to join us. Let's bring them in right now. We're going to talk IKF GrandNationals. We're going to talk about the state of karting in NorCal. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Greg, of course, hanging out in the shop. Donald, I think you're probably at home there. I like it. Donald, let's just first and foremost, before we even jump into the GrandNationals, let's talk a little bit about Prairie City Kart Track. How long have you guys kind of been the stewards of that facility? And talk a little bit about what you've kind of done over the last couple of years to really turn it into one of, as I said, the most positive places of karting in NorCal right now.
Well, I appreciate that. In the end of 2019, we got the keys per se. And then went in, started doing our thing, putting our touch on it, which was like moving into a new house. You just rearrange, move things here. How do I like it? But really didn't know what to expect. I knew what I wanted out of it. I knew what I wanted to do, but it's been a blast. We had an immediate kind of crisis with COVID. That was the last time we talked, where that put everything on pause. But, not many good things came from that, but at the same time, I will take it as a blessing. It gave us a little more time to keep on going behind the scenes. And I think when we did effectively open up, it was more so the way I'd like to present it. And it was very exciting.
So I think a lot of people in the sport who are in your position, like you and your father, who have been with Cambrian Karting, have been a key industry member in Northern California. We all would like to potentially have a racetrack of our own one time. how exciting is this for you, being able to have a track that you're able to do what, you have all these years as a racer and as a shop owner, you always say, well, I would have done this and I would have done that. Well, now you can do it yourself. I got to think that is a really, it's a positive thing for you to do, but obviously very self-fulfilling as well.
100%. And that's probably the biggest takeaway that I have is it is exciting to go there every morning. I am at home today. Tuesday is my day off. So this worked out great for what we're doing, but I work every day, I promise.
Yeah.
With that being said, it is exciting. Go to the track, open the gates, look around, and it's like, wow, this is ours. We can do what we want to with it and form it and shape it into, as you said, a positive place. There's a lot of that's the wrong word, anxiety that comes with this sport. We get up early, we're anxious, we want to do well, we want our kids to do well. Something goes wrong, the slightest little thing, somebody runs over your foot with their cart trolley, and it could ruin the afternoon. So I've tried really hard to just remind everybody on the grid at the drivers meeting, hey, we are having a great time. It's competitive.
Yeah.
I want it to be competitive. But take a look around. You guys are standing shoulder to shoulder right now, listening to me talk at this drivers meeting. Why, when you put your helmet on, you want to ruin each other? And I am very proud of what has become of that. In about a year's time, in a year, it went from front noses falling off, half the field not making turn one, to everybody fist pumping on the warm-up lap and showing immense respect on the track. And also, I'm very proud of the racing because it brought back healthy competitiveness. I don't tolerate moving someone out of the way. If you can't pass them elegantly or properly, which is so fun to see, then you quickly get kind of pushed out. And nobody left. Everybody just changed their tune, and there was some really good racing going on.
Listen, as a guy that calls a lot of races, that's like music to my heart, because again, I always you want to see that beautiful pass, right? If somebody beats you to the apex of one corner, they've won that corner. You go battle in the next corner. And it's all about that respect, and I like the elegance of it. I like that line. But I will say this, and this speaks volumes about you and your father and your family. Culture's top down, right? You come in and you kind of say, this is the way we're running our facility. This is the way we're going to run Prairie City Kart Track and our club. And that's going to filter down as long as you stick with it, right? Have you found that?
I have. And it took a little while for me to realize that I had a part in it. But just when you come in the gate and you shake someone's hand or you say welcome, it's a big difference from hurry up and move your truck.
Yeah.
Park your trailer and get the truck out of here. It starts the tune of the day. So if it's not me, it's my kids or my wife or our awesome staff, and everybody has that same attitude of, we are so thankful you guys are here. Let's have a great day. Let's have a great weekend. And it trickles onto the track.
Just to kind of put a cap on that, do you think that being part of the industry prior to being a track owner, do you think that's helped kind of set the tone early and from the beginning?
100%. Yes, because I knew all of the things that made my stomach uneasy when I pulled into a track. I identified all the things that made me feel like these guys don't even want me here. Or I had anxiety just before you even go there. I mean, it sounds like all this stuff, but really it's true. I mean, you go somewhere that you've never been to before, the first interaction you have needs to be a good one. And that is my goal. And everybody around me shares it.
Let's go to Greg about that. Greg, obviously you've seen this. You've been in a lot of racetracks. You've been in NorCal for over 20 years. I had mentioned off the top, you've been to a lot of different tracks that are up there and in support of those tracks. What are your thoughts as an industry member, as a guy who rolls in with a truck and trailer? What's it like rolling in there? And have you seen what the Durbins have done at Prairie City, how it's kind of affected, maybe changed in a positive way, your business as well? I know you're selling more product because of it.
Yeah. So, for us, we roll into a lot of different tracks every year, and Donald's made a big push. He welcomes everybody that walks through the gate. I mean, what he says is not bull. I mean, he really makes an effort to make you feel wanted. And I think the customers feel that way too. some of them had a hard time understanding his request as far as racing etiquette. But he's right. I mean, it's a different, it's just a different level of, I think, respect and appreciation. I think a lot of track owners just lose that because, I mean, let's face it. I mean, not a lot of people come up and say, thank you for doing a great job, but they're the first ones that come up and get in your face for doing what they didn't want you to do. And what I've seen with Donald for the most part, and I told him this after he did his speeches after the IKF GrandNationals. I mean, this is a kid I've watched growing up, right? And I hate to say that because that means I'm older than him. I mean, at the end of the day,
reality, baby.
We all go through different stages of life, right? And we, good, bad, or indifferent, it doesn't matter. But, racing, Donald was always super competitive. But as a track owner, I mean, he's really found his niche in the sport because he's got a super kind heart, and it shows with his demeanor and what he's trying to do at Prairie City. I mean, I think I've gone through 1, 2, 3, 4. I think he's the 5th handler of that place. Mm-hmm. Always being one of the premier tracks in Northern California. And not a lot of people reinvest into it. And that's one big thing that's wrong in karting is that, most of the people that are making a living off of the sport do very little to reinvest in the sport.
Yeah. And
Donald's done stuff that I'm like, man, I don't know where he's coming up with this money. How's he doing this? Well, how's it going to pay off? But everything he's done out there, whether it's just a small piece of asphalt that, connects the second row to the grid where you're not pushing through rocks and things of that nature, the TV system, everything that he's done, that substantial amount of money that he's invested in a piece of property that he doesn't own, he leases.
Yeah.
But it's just brought the level up of the racetrack so much that I think, when you can walk into any place, and whether it's a restaurant, a gym, or whatever you do that you enjoy, and you're welcomed and you have an inviting feeling when you get there. And the other thing is there's no drama there. Like, there's just no, he nips all that stuff that happens in our sport, kind of like he handles it and puts it to sleep and moves on. And we'll talk about the IKF GrandNationals versus other stuff that happens in Northern California and my customers' feelings as to, what's different about it.
Well, let's move there, Donald. Obviously, some kind words there from Greg. To be able to get the IKF GrandNationals, I know you work with the IKF, and to be, when you get that opportunity to host that event, it obviously shows that the track has done something right to move forward. Let's talk about that first. Let's dive into the IKF GrandNationals. What did you guys get for numbers? I wasn't able to be there, obviously, but I'm looking on Race Monitor to find out how many. You have big fields in all the categories. It seems like overall it was a tremendous event.
It was. It was my favorite week, and leading up to it was nerve-wracking. Because I wanted it to be as good as it was.
Yeah.
Every piece of my being wanted to make sure that it was the event that actually took place. And that was difficult. So my hat goes off to all the people that organize events all the time. And because I'm just getting started, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of mental preparation. But anyway, it was the event of a lifetime for me. We got to showcase our property. We got to showcase our atmosphere, some of the things that we've changed at the track and the facility. But anyway, it was, I don't want to say last minute, but we didn't push it for a whole year. There's a gentleman who was talking about it the other day, how do we get this thing to be even bigger? I had the time of my life, but what do we want to do? And honestly, that's about it. You start right now. So we started talking with the IKF. I did. Actually last year, and they came and visited the track and liked what they saw and saw, a good place to host it. Northern California, good fields, good people, and it didn't work out with COVID. And quite frankly, I said this also at the drivers' meeting, I'm glad it didn't. It gave us that extra year to be even more ready, more prepared, and we were. But thanks to them, the IKF, for sending out their people, did an excellent job. Our people did an excellent job. Our sponsors, our customers, our friends, they were all the reason that it went so well.
Hey, Greg, you were obviously there with your team and some drivers. I saw you there. I don't think you won the tire changing contest, which I was sad to see. But
yeah, the little sucker got away from me a little bit. I mean,
that escalated quickly.
Who won?
Yeah.
Who ended up winning it? Whoever it was.
J.R. Razko.
Wow.
Yeah. So you look. I mean, nothing against Donald. So he set the rules out early on in the game, and I was unpleasantly surprised what I was going against when I looked over and saw Razko's tires and he's got them soaked up and everything else. I'm like, well, we're in trouble already. I knew the blues weren't going to come off and on like that, but and then my tire got away from me somehow.
I saw that, yeah.
And it running out there, and I was like, shoot, I probably could have got second if I kept my tire in place, but
yeah,
it's all good.
So let's talk about the race. Let's talk about the race itself. You were there. What were you, Greg? You've been to like countless amazing events. You've been a staple to Super Nats, Rock Vegas, big events all over the country. What were your thoughts on this particular event? It just, like I said, everything I saw on social media was like everybody was just thrilled with it.
Well, it's really interesting. I mean, there's a lot of organizers across the United States that we deal with, and it really doesn't, the amount of work. I mean, I talked to Donald a little bit before and after, and he was worried because he put a big stake on the line to get this done, and it all paid off for him. But I think that's Donald. And one of the things I took away from the event is, this kid's matured into this person that controls himself immensely and really wants the best for his facility. And more than that, the end user, the customer.
Yeah.
Right. So you walk away with, if you walk into something with that level of respect, you walk out of it with a higher level of respect. Right. And I was just talking to Chris Mays about that this morning. We were, chatting it up, and he was there for, a little bit on Friday and Sunday. And he's like, it's just amazing to me that, we can race many different races at that racetrack with different promoters, but Donald's event was stress-free, high-fiving, cheering people on, even though you weren't winning. And that's happened a few other times in Northern California. I think Northern California has a really big, I don't want to call it ego problem, but there seems to be a lot of stress here.
Okay.
There's a lot of stress for some reason. And I don't know when it got that way. But this goes back on, to earlier on in, 11, 10, 9, 8, when we were hosting really big events. And, when you come into an event and everything is respectful, you have a respectful event.
Yeah.
I think that's
Dave.
I think that goes along with it. It's kind of a one-off. There's no championship points involved. This is the one race. This is it. There's one winner too. I think that kind of helps too, because something we talked with a lot of people with the IME GrandNationals that they had at GoPro Motorplex this summer. It was a one-off race. There's no championships involved, so people were a little bit more relaxed. It was a different format. Again, if you're not used to that one final per weekend format, it's something new, something different. So I think, Greg, when you talk about that, it kind of helps to alleviate that stress or that anxiety, as Donald said earlier.
We pause our face-to-face broadcast for this quick commercial break. Stay tuned for more here on the EKN Radio Network. Le Mans, Daytona, Sebring. The most legendary endurance races in the world, where man and machine push the limits of physics in an attempt to beat their competition and the clock. Are you ready to take on this challenge yourself? Well, the SimCraft 24 Hours of NOLA karting event returns for 2021 with USAC Karting. And this year, the event will tackle the popular and challenging NOLA Motorsports in New Orleans, Louisiana. This year's event will take place on December 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. With the field already exploding after the 2020 edition, there are only 4 entry spots remaining for the field of 50. It's going to be an exciting event with factory and dealer supported entries from CRG, TB Kart, Praga Kart, Margay, Mac Minarelli, Burrell Art, and Tony Kart. Don't miss your chance to race in the biggest 24-hour kart race in the Americas. To register your team, head to 24hrsofnola.com to find the rules and event schedule.
Wins at the sport's biggest races and championships across all levels of karting make up the resume for Nitro Kart. The Nitro Kart has made its statement as the best, fastest, and most reliable cadet chassis on the North American karting market. The 2021 Cadet is the evolution of that success, featuring the latest development and components to put you at the front. If you want to win in Cadet, get a Nitro Kart and join the team. The Nitro Kart Cadet claimed 5 victories at the SCUSA Pro Tour, including the Mini Swift Championship in 2020. At the United States Pro Kart Series, Nitro Kart Cadet earned 5 wins and 14 podiums in mini and micro competition. For a second straight year, Nitro Kart won the U.S. Rotax GrandNationals in the Minimax division, bringing the title total to 4 in 4 years. If you've seen it on track, it certainly caught your eye. Dominating the 4-cycle world is the Nitro Kart Lefty chassis. The chassis is designed for the Briggs & Stratton 206 engine with a left side mount for better weight distribution. The Lefty is available in cadet and full-size frames. The Nitro Kart Lefty won the CKNA Grand Nationals 4 in both sportsman and junior categories, with fast time in qualifying for the senior division. Drivers with the Lefty were ranked number 1 in the Briggs & Stratton Weekly Racing Series for junior and cadet divisions. Team Nitro Kart will be at all major events in 2021 with programs tailored to every driver's needs. Focused on driver development, the cadet program under Team Nitro Kart has helped develop some of today's stars, including Brent Cruz, Parker DeLong, Ben Mayer, and Spencer Conrad. Visit Nitro Kart online and find them on Facebook and Instagram.
Acceleration Kart Racing is your first and only stop on the internet for karts, parts, and the safety gear you need to get you on the track. Visit shopakr.com for a great selection of karting equipment on a user-friendly website. Acceleration Kart Racing has aligned itself with many of the top manufacturers and distributors in the sport to ensure all the latest equipment is available to you, the racer. With over 20 years in business and customer support available 6 days a week, you can be confident about getting the right parts at the right price when you need them. Be sure to visit shopakr.com today or stop by their headquarters in Las Vegas. Make sure to follow Acceleration Kart Racing on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest specials and new arrivals. Welcome back to Face2Face on the EKN Radio Network.
Yeah, but I take that.
Go Greg.
Real quick. I take that in. I mean, it could be. It's a one-off event. Supernats is a one-off event, right? We're racing for $10,000 to win.
Mm-hmm.
We're racing for a Duffy, and it's not always the same atmosphere,
right?
Around the globe when you travel. I mean, you go to Italy, and they're drama-free. I mean, it's just a different. Like they bring a different deal to the track. I mean, there's no insurance, so you don't have to sign bans. You don't sue people. So there's all this stress level that comes down because there's no expectation, right? We're here to race. We're going to go up against the best, and we're going to walk out of here, having a beer or high-fiving when we leave.
Yeah.
And as industry leaders in Italy, they get together as we did leaving the IKF. And I'm sure Donald's talked to many different team owners, and I applauded him for the event because he smashed it. I mean, 150 entries in Northern California today. I mean, that's 30% up from what we've had all year long.
Yeah, it's a big race. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just speaks immensely of a person that really put his heart and soul into an event. And I don't think a lot of people do that anymore.
So, Don, when you sat down to put this thing together, obviously you had the culture that you're building at Prairie City, and it seems like you tried to put a festival together. What are some of the things that you put together for the weekend to make sure people were having a good time? It wasn't just all about the racing, right? You guys did a bunch of different things to make it kind of like it used to be, like a happening where everybody came to the IKF GrandNationals every year.
Yeah, and that was a fun thing that actually you brought up when we were chatting earlier in the months. Let us know some of the things you're going to do. And that actually, I thank you both for that, Rob and Dave, because it prompted me to say, oh yeah, we should do some stuff. So anyway, we had a tire changing contest on Friday night. I put up $200 and it escalated in 5 minutes to $1,400 by other people excited. We all gathered around in the grid. It's a covered grid. We lined up. First of all, there was about 3 people, and I said, well, this isn't going to work. So then I called Greg. I called Rodney from Nevada Kart Sport. I called a member of Cole Nelson. I called a member of Nash, et cetera, et cetera. And I said, you guys have to come. Well, then all of a sudden there was 20 participants. We laid out the rules real quickly. And it was like we were at a chicken fight in a alleyway. It was awesome. I mean, there was Jay Story. I gave him the money and he held it up. And every time someone said, I got 100 on it, I would announce it as loud as I could. I mean, we were just hoarse voice yelling it in the middle of the night. All of a sudden, Lloyd Mack brings it up to $800 and KPX brought it up to $900. We're at $1,400 by the time it was done, laid out the rules, counted to 3, and they did it. Anyway, wow. When that was finished, that was the beginning of the culture for the weekend. Because prior to that, I should say, I was very thankful that RLV and Rockland and Folsom Harley Davidson chipped in, and we had a tri-tip barbecue that fed everybody there.
Wow,
and there was probably 300 people that stuck around and hung out all night.
It was nice.
And
that was a Friday night?
That was Friday night. That set the tone. We handed out drinks. We cooked on a huge trailer barbecue. We walked around. We chatted. Everybody visited each other's pits. And when it was just about time to settle down, then we started this chicken fight in the hallway, and it was great. It was great.
But that's it. Listen, isn't that what it's about? Like the key thing you said was you started it off. You have that first day where you set the culture, you set the atmosphere, the tone, right? We're going to have this great dinner. We're going to have a bunch of fun together. We're going to go racing tomorrow. That's something I think a lot of events need to think about. And that's setting that tone for what the event's going to be like from the get-go.
Yeah, it was awesome. I was worried that, we've all been in that situation where it's like tomorrow's race, I got to get some sleep, I got to go. But no, I was pleasantly surprised. Everybody was there. So the next day was Saturday.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what? We need to do something else. So RLV had these really cool little barbecues that they, sell and donate and do things with. And he donated 4 of them. So we had a push-up contest. It was simple. It was easy. But in 5 minutes, there was 35 people laying on the ground because I asked them to. And we can't count how many push-ups you're going to do. So whoever was moving last won the barbecue. And it was just another gather together, have some fun, laugh, win something. All right. And remember, tomorrow when we put our helmets on, I don't need to take you out because we just did push-ups together in the dirt.
That's it.
And it's it.
And it seems to me like that went all the way through to the very end of the weekend, right to the awards presentations as well. And I know Greg said you had spoke at the end, and I've had a couple people talk to me about that. But it seems like that whole feeling, that positivity rolled right through to the awards presentation at the end too. Tell me a little bit about that, Donald, how that made you feel at the end of what would have been a long work. All that work you put in, you see the racing, and then it's that awards presentation at the end where you kind of get a chance to kind of breathe out a little bit.
I realized pretty quickly how much I like talking to everybody at the beginning and the end of the weekend. I actually didn't think I would. I thought I would clam up or shut down, but I realized I've either met them all, but I've either introduced half of them to the sport. So they're not strangers. They're all my friends, every single person there. So it's really pleasant to be able to sit down at the end of a weekend and maybe even show my emotion. I'm a pretty emotional person, and to humanize myself is something that I like doing at the end of the weekend. So
I like that too.
We were really lucky. This year we lost John Motley, a very special key figure in the sport and in the IKF in the technical department. And we were lucky to have his daughter, who's won several Duffys herself, come and present the awards with me. And also my dad made a very special point to present his daughter with a Duffy in honor of John. And that was really neat and special for everybody.
Well, and David and I have talked about this before, and we talked to a lot of people about what the Duffy meant. I don't know how far back you go, Donald, when you were younger racing, but you hear stories of the Duffy battles through the 70s, 80s, 90s. How big it was. That's what you did. As a young driver or an older driver, man, that's what you wanted. You wanted to get that Duffy. You wanted to get the second Duffy so you could have your expert plate, whatever it may be. Right. Were you racing back then, Donald, when the IK in the 90s? When I don't know your whole career, but was that?
No, that's okay.
Were you there? Yeah,
I was, and it was the pinnacle of the karting, days, if you will. Yeah. It was the pinnacle of the season. All these different regions, 6, 11, 7. 7 and 11 was down south in Southern California, and 11 is up where we are, and we all both had opinions of each other and how it was going to be, and
still today too.
Yeah, but at the end, it was for that very prestigious award that you can't just go get at the race next month. That was it, and that's what you fought for. And the Screaming Eagle, you qualify on pole and you get this really prestigious award as well. And it's just a neat thing. And you're right, they're not easy to come by. Everybody's after them. And like you said, back in the 90s and even the 2000s, before everything went to yellow plates automatically, it was a special thing to earn those rights. You see somebody come to the track like, whoa, he's got yellow plates. Holy shit.
That's it.
Yeah, it was neat.
So Greg, obviously we're seeing on social media, I saw a lot of people really reveling in the fact, Donald, you can say this too, that they won the Duffy again, right? It feels like the last couple of years there have been some really good Grand Nationals where it's getting that feel again where the Duffy's the thing you want to win. Greg, are you some of your customers, are you hearing them say that as well? Hey man, I want to go after a Duffy next year. I didn't get one this year.
Yeah, I think for what I see, and there was a few people that were outside of California that attended this event, and a lot of people have kind of across the United States just don't really understand what a Duffy is. So it's really kind of sad that we don't. I mean, Tom's trying to continue the culture by uprighting IKF and doing keeping that alive when it was ready to die. And it's sad to me because what we've done to the industry, and I want to emphasize that, is that the way our business models work today, we need racing in order to survive, right? And unfortunately for Donald, like for myself anyway, it's hard, when you first get into the sport and you're supporting that customer at a local track, or you're going to a Grand National or a Super Nat style event, which we do like a lot of those a year. We do it because we're giving back to the sport. Like we don't charge what we charge elsewhere for our expertise and our consulting. But that's the problem, I think, in our sport today, is that there's probably 5 different heavy hitter promoters in the United States, 3 different motor manufacturers that are trying to corner the industry. And that takes us away from our backyard a lot, right? And that also, to touch on it a little bit, when the IKF Grand Nationals were the race to be at, there was no other races to be at until the early 90s when
that's true.
The Super Nats started happening, and then people would travel to Vegas because now it's like, I remember first one, 96 or 97, it's like, hey, we're going to Vegas, we're having a good time, and it felt a lot like Donald's event just did because where it's all new and exciting, and it was a big race. We had 300 to 500 entries, early on in those days, and with IKF not really having a lot of alive regions, it's our duty to try to keep the culture going as industry, leaders, to try to, support it, be there, help it. And I'm at fault. I mean, because there's a lot of times that I haven't gone because I just didn't think it was going to be a big enough turnout over the years when it's been, going up and down. But that also goes to, as somebody was saying on Facebook, and I get what he's saying, why aren't we starting on this now? Donald's like, it took me a year to put this together. And I think some of the older IKF events, like the Grand National events, were always, kind of a product of their own failure, because 3 weeks, 5 weeks, 10 weeks out, we're getting Facebook posts, or we're reminding people that, hey, there's a IKF Grand Nationals in a month and a half. Well, people's calendars are already set, right? So to get an immense amount of people into one place, like the Supernats or Rock Vegas, or Pro Kart, or anything else that we do nowadays, because the budgets and everything are pretty hammered by September, October, November, we need to plan it in January. And in order to create a great event, and I'm a little off track here on what we're talking about, but it needs to start now.
Well, that actually leads into right where I was going, Greg, because the next question is, hey, what do we have to do to be able to keep the Grand Nationals being strong, make it bigger and bigger? We're coming off an amazing event. Donald's obviously the guy that was right there most recently putting a race on that was successful. So, Donald, let me ask you a couple of questions. What do we have to do to make the Grand Nationals keep getting bigger? What Greg's saying is they literally need to announce the next year's venue now. What do you think about timing? Did you like the fact that it was middle of October? You think that was a good time to have the Grand Nationals?
I think there's probably better time, but there's nobody's at fault for that date. This was honestly a product of me requesting to do it in the middle of a very busy year for the IKF, for Tom and all of his crew. And by the time it came to okay, let's do this, that was the only date left, as to Greg's point, on the calendar.
Yeah.
Not so much on my side, but there's a lot of moving parts that go with this. So there was a choice of, you can do it this weekend, no, or you can do it in October on this day. And we had to move a couple of our races around, which was just fine. But to your point, what do we need to do to continue this momentum, which I'm very proud of, is just that, sit down right about now, or, to give you a little grace period, January at the latest. And since there is no more IKF racing happening, there's no calendar, there's no schedule, and there won't be. This one race, understanding it a lot more now, we need to pick the host, and then have that host start working hand in hand with some soft promotion right away, put it on the calendar, as Greg said, and then preparing for it, and then leading up to it, hit it hard and make sure everybody's reminded. But I think this will actually work out great, because whoever would like to host it next, they should act on it. Reach out to those guys at the IKF office. Neil was awesome to work with. Tony, Tom, Patty, everybody on their crew was a godsend. Pick up the phone, talk to him. Stan helped me build the parking lot. Tony helped me with everything. Neil came and put his race director hat on and did a fantastic job. And Tom was always checking in on me, making sure that, if I need something, and then there was things that he thought I needed that I didn't think I'd need, and he just sent them. So
wow, that's awesome.
It was great all the way around. And that was put together poorly, but on my side, as far as time frame, but it wasn't what I was thinking about in January. I was thinking about, how am I going to throw my first green flag ever as a racetrack operator? So I was thinking about my club races that were going to be very special, important to me, and how are they going to go? And then those just kept growing and growing and getting more comfortable, to the point where I was comfortable, because honestly, maybe I didn't want to host this race. I mean, what if I suck at it? So turns out I really love it.
Yeah, that's good. Well, that's good.
So that's what I would do. Reach out to them, pick the track. The track needs to volunteer themselves.
Yep, for sure.
And then and then Tony and Neil, they'll drive out, fly out, go check it out, give you advice, talk to you, look around. Tom will show up. He did last year. He came and walked around the whole place with me and said, all right, you got about 100 trailers here that you're storing. What are you going to do with them? And I said, don't worry, they'll be gone. That was a lot of work, but they were gone.
Yeah, I can imagine. So obviously Northern California, there's been a couple of them there. Santa Maria, yourself, obviously it's kind of the hotbed for IKF right now. They do run in Texas. They're obviously connected with the Texas Sprint Racing Series. Travis Hammond says, put the IKF Nats back in the Midwest for Sprint. What do you think about moving around the country with an event like this, Donald? It's, like you said, the IKF really doesn't have all the regions that you used to have again. So it's not like you're really just grabbing racers now, right?
Yeah.
And you're kind of playing off the brand and you're playing off the prestige of the Duffy and being able to have one of those trophies. Your thoughts on potential? Should it go to Texas? Should it go to the Midwest? Should it go to the Northeast, Pacific Northwest? Is this something you think should be traveling all around the country?
Yeah, 100. I mean, for sure. You guys notice that when I talk, I get closer to the camera.
I like that.
I don't know why I do that.
Can't see it, Donald.
It should. It shouldn't stay. One guy jokingly, he was like, "You got to host this next year." I was like, "No, I'd love to, but no. It is a race that needs to move, and if it moves from one city in California to another, that's not really moving." I agree. That if there's a desire to have it at any of those places, then
here's a couple right here. Do. Travis Hammond says TNT Quincy. It's had some IKF Grands before. Race Liberante, Texas or Colorado. Again, a couple.
Well, there's always the option of every year going to a different time zone. You could go to the Eastern time zone, Midwest, Central, Mountain, and West.
We pause our face-to-face broadcast for this quick commercial break. Stay tuned for more here on the EKN Radio Network. In karting, it's important to be supported by the right people. With over 40 years of experience in the sport, Trinity Karting Group has everything you need to make your program successful. We do it all, and we do it right. Trackside support and arrive and drive programs are available in 2021 for the USPKS and the SuperKarts USA Pro Tour and Super Nationals with full product sales and service and professional coaching from our experienced staff. Trinity Karting Group is a full-service operation based at the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati, which gives us access to our custom-designed driver training facility. This allows us to offer private, one-on-one coaching to take you to the next level. Trinity Karting Group is also your Midwest home for Tony Kart and IAME, and we're your source for MG and Avinco tires in the region. Tony Kart quality cannot be beat, so call us today to put you in a new chassis for your next event. From arrive and drive and coaching programs to the parts you need, let Trinity Karting Group provide you with customer service and a racing experience second to none. Trinity Karting Group has a long history in the sport, a winning pedigree, and we're dedicated to driver development. We take pride in our professional approach and our positive attitude. Let us build a custom race program for you. Give us a call at 513-421-4463 or check us out online at trinitykartinggroup.com. There's a new hot button name in American safety equipment, Stilo USA. Every product with Stilo is focused on safety, comfort, and function. Stilo USA is happy to provide you with the proper safety apparel to keep you protected on the track, and their karting lineup is second to none. The ST5 KRT karting helmet is available for $599. Manufactured using a lightweight and extremely strong composite material, the KRT provides an excellent fit and comfort level due to its dual density interior foam lining, and it's equipped with a symmetrical visor that offers excellent vision and an effortless central visor locking system. The ST5 CMR standard was developed jointly by the FIA Institute and Snell Memorial Foundation to ensure safer and lighter weight helmets for the younger karters. Drivers rave about the superior comfort levels, lightweight construction, and the unparalleled field of vision. The Perfect Youth helmet is available for $549. Stilo didn't stop with their helmets either. The newly developed Carbon Curva Rib Protector is unlike any on the market, with its form-fitting solution to offer superior protection. Head to StiloHelmets.com to review these and many more products to keep you safe on the track. Stilo, any competition, one helmet. Established in 1999, PSL Karting has become a powerhouse within the karting industry for North America and around the world. PSL Karting is your complete source for all Burrell Art products as the North American importer, providing this top quality product through both their expansive dealer network or through the PSLKarting.com online store. Whatever you need is available 24/7 online, including safety gear, parts, components, and full karting packages. All three brands, Burrell Art, Ricardo Kart, and Charles Leclerc Karts, are in stock and ready to hit the track. Grab your winning chassis for any category by visiting PSLKarting.com to find your nearest dealer. PSL Karting is always looking for interest in new dealers and teams to help create new business relationships. Drivers looking to take their talents to the next level can join the Burrell Art North America race team, competing at all the major U.S. and Canadian events this season. When you're ready to win, go with PSL Karting. Welcome back to Face2Face on the EKN Radio Network.
Yeah.
Let me chime in on that really quick. So,
Go, Greg.
I think one thing that we all lose track of is that one thing that I felt was really nice at this event, and most of the IKF GrandNationals you go to, is there is a lot of new faces that you see that aren't on the national scene, right?
Yes.
We do a lot of national scene stuff because we're the, IPK factory team for America. So we're kind of forced to go around a lot of places in order to showcase the product, and all of the manufacturers or importers or everything are kind of in that group because, you try to go everywhere. And for me, if you go to an IKF GrandNationals, it's a hotbed for future customers that want to go do the next big thing, or maybe, but I think that starts in the club level stuff. And, Briggs and Stratton have done a really good job of, kind of staging up against, other tracks and, the customer and the driver as far as, this is where you stand in America, basically. This is your position as a driver because of the races you won and everything else. And when I raced, IGSBA, jet ski stuff, it was an invitational to come to an event like this, right? Which we don't want to do that because it was even an invitational when you were heyday in IKF. You had to have 3 punches or whatever.
Yeah, punches. Yeah,
and I'm okay with that too. But that starts at the club. So if you're at IKF sanctioned club, which I think Donald is, those clubs, and let's get something straight really quick in the industry. You have WK and you have IKF, and you have CIK, right? A long time ago, we were at a karting expo in Illinois, and I went up to the WK guys and I brought them together with the IKF guys. I'm like, so what do we have to do in order to create a CIK level of, rule books and everything else to its one rule set worldwide? And it wasn't about the rule books. They're insurance companies. They sell insurance, and that's what they're fighting for as far as, turf, I guess. And so it really, WK isn't really doing much on the West Coast anymore. So it's Tom and his staff that have to create a substrate under what all the clubs are doing in order to create a desire to go to the IKF GrandNationals. Like the IKF GrandNational is not the Supernats, right? It's a lot of cool people that are just, enjoying the sport, and it's just a lot less pressure cooker. So if we start early and like, hey, you're going to get a ticket to the IKF GrandNationals per se, because you want to club deal, and then more people kind of buy into that. This is going to be cool. I'm going to, Johnny won a ticket. We're going to try to be Johnny because we're really close to being Johnny here. Now all the top level drivers, and that's what IKF always used to be when we're talking about a yellow plate, and Joey Hand and Allmendinger and all these kids rolled into when I was just getting into the sport, they were already yellow plate holders, and you're like, that's the real deal. I mean, these kids, we can run with those kids and we're close. And I think we've lost a lot of that in our sport as far as, who do we look up to? And if we start that culture at IKF sanctioned facilities and we push to go to that one big event a year, and it's on everybody's calendar early on to where it's part of, like, I already have 22 dates for 2022 across the United States.
Yeah.
So like Donald's saying, there's a lot of different things that have to fall into place in order for it to make it logistically possible for all the big teams. And I think all the big teams love to go to events like that because it's a breath of fresh air. It's just a lot less stress and a lot more fun, and you give more time to mingle and, do all the things that we love to do because we love the sport. But I think it starts, to create a big event, we have to educate the user that there's going to be a great big event.
And an event like this, the Grand Nationals too, it's really not so much still a national event, but it really does. It has in the past drawn a lot of club racers and regional racers, right? So it doesn't need all the big national teams don't really have to go. Those club shops and regional shops really. Right. Donald, do you think maybe they're more the core people that would come to an event like this?
I do. I think that's what I was going to say is I think find that place wherever it may be in the country that has a healthy base of people that have gotten into the sport last year, the year before, 2-3 years ago, et cetera, and remember what this race is. It is not the Super Nats, but it is a very special, sacred, important race that should always be ongoing. It probably will not be a 300 or 400 entry race, because I think the target audience, and then everybody's invited, but the target audience is that host of teams, shops, and privateers that are not going to travel to Quincy in the Park or the Super Nats, or they are, hey, it's in our state this year. Let's do it. I don't know that it's going to be for everybody. Let's get on a plane. We were very lucky to have people from Minnesota, Colorado, Oregon, Idaho, Texas. That was great, but it wasn't in droves. It was California, Nevada, and some grateful to have visitors who got on a plane and showed up or drove through the night. And I appreciate all of them for doing that. But it's going to be a host event that we should all try and attend.
Here's a really good point. And Cole Nelson brings this up. I can't bring it into the screen because it's just too long. But he mentioned that the CKNA pulls from several states, which results in 300 to 400 races at their Grand Nationals. It's really an East Coast program. And you look at the people that come to that event, it's all East Coast, right? It's Florida, North Carolina, eventual draw from Canadians. It's Midwest. I know we talked about potentially does the IKF Grand Nationals need to go to Texas? Does it need to go to the Midwest? Or does the IKF Grand Nationals, IKF, of course, being for the most part over its career really West Coast based, although it was in New York and in other areas, could the IKF Grand Nationals with a similar approach to class structure being Briggs? They, of course, add the IME classes too, CKNA, all Briggs. Could it become a CKNA Grand Nationals for the West Coast? Is Cole more on the lines of, hey, we can maybe pull 300 entries if we locked it in to Pacific Northwest, NorCal, SoCal, Arizona kind of a thing, Colorado? What do you think about that?
Yeah,
Greg, Donald, we'll start with you. Your thought.
I think it's great because living here, that's where I am. I'd like to be able to go to all of them, but more importantly, does it exist beyond Texas? Probably not. It is predominantly here, Santa Maria, Reno, Prairie City, Oregon, all good tracks, great places, and communities that can pull from it. And Cole came and did a great job. So with a whole year or season to plan for it, I know he would like to have it at Reno, and Reno is an awesome track.
Love that.
Big place. Yeah.
Yeah.
Elevation change, lights. They could do a lot there. So
and listen, if that's the case, then let's just throw this out there to kind of get it fueled. You've built momentum. What you were able to do this year, the positivity, the momentum. This is something that really needs to roll out. They should be announcing what the track's going to be in the next month, right? So that people can start getting excited about it next year. That's what I would think.
I honestly think that would be easy to do, and I would be happy to help however I can. But it would start with a phone call and then lock it in.
I think that's the biggest fear I have is that there's just not a lot of tracks that want to put the effort in. Like that's what I see in Northern California is that, Donald, you can see by his growth is because he has invested into his facility. And I'll go back to that is that, he set out to create something special that he felt needed to be in Northern California. We have quite a few great tracks, but not quite a few great attitudes at the tracks.
Yeah, okay? I hear what you're saying.
And you can see that in the numbers of the events shrinking, right? And I've said this all year long. I'm like, people don't know what Donald's building here. And I've always been lucky enough to be able to kind of weed through all the stuff that you see. But Donald's been in a unique situation where he's split his race days because of the park's rules or whatever they're asking him to do to try to stay under that 100 number because of COVID. But when he
that worked out great.
Yeah, it does. But it also lets you, build at a smaller scale and kind of get your ducks in a row too, right? And get comfortable dealing with everybody because, you have a lot less participation that is manageable. But when they all merge, when he merges his deal, he's a 180 strong club. Like no issues. Like he's 180. Our other series in Northern California pull between 30 and 80. I mean, it's sad, but maybe, as an industry, we look at Donald and be like, what's he doing differently than we are? Why is he getting so much participation? His track's just as nice as my track. We put money into our track. Why is this happening? And I think that that's a big part of, what he's created and how the IKF GrandNationals became 150 strong is because he's built a great base program, but also because he has a passion, as we all do as shop owners and whatnot. If we didn't, we probably wouldn't be doing what we do.
That's right.
And hats off to him. But probably Cole Nelson would be the only other track that I know of in Northern California today that has the drive to do something like Donald's done over the last 2 years.
Yeah.
To create something special.
So
because it all creates an amazing atmosphere because of the amazing effort. Right? You can't just I'm going to have IKF GrandNationals and do it the same way you've been doing all your club stuff because
it doesn't work. No, doesn't work. Right. David?
That's why you almost have to go to places that do have a strong grassroots program, such as what Donald's built up. Colorado seems to be having a really good program built up throughout that state there. A number of different racetracks you can go to. Texas, same thing.
Tri-C down south. I mean, there's a
and even the
bunch
Northwest
of organizations that can do it.
Yeah, the Northwest. You have can be there with Pat's Acres and a couple other facilities there.
Texas with the TPKC is killing it. There's a lot of people, but I think that for the IKF, in my opinion, good or bad, I think the IKF needs to reach out to those facilities that are following their guideline and their insurance program and everything. Like now, it's like, do you want to host it or do you want to host it? Because I don't think that there's a lot of people in our sport today, like Donald, that has the passion to run the track the way Donald's running it. That's one thing I see. There's a lot of burnout because there's a lot of life in these tracks that, they don't understand that, like, hey, if you treat your customer right, then they continue coming back.
That's it. Actions speak louder than words, for sure. All right, Donald, we're getting to the end of an hour show here. Donald, what's up for 2022 for Prairie City Kart Track? What else can you guys do? Like you talked about having split weekends. Are you still doing the split weekends deal, or are we going to be back? Are you still doing that?
I'm going to stick with it.
Are you?
I feel guilty because it does hog up an extra weekend in the calendar for other organizations. You know, I don't like that aspect of it. But like Greg said, it was a forced move. You know, when COVID was happening, we had to stay underneath a cap, and now we can do whatever we'd like. But the quality of the event that we can put on with 100 or 110 people is better than a rushed, botched 180 or 200 entry club race.
And the staff you need to have to manage that many people.
Yeah, but more so just the quality of it. You know, we can actually see what's going on. We can interact with everybody. I brought back, I shouldn't say I brought it back, but we reintroduced 2 heat races and a main event rather than, at least locally, you would always show up and you run a 5-minute qualifying, an 8-lap heat race, a 12-lap main, and time to go home. And that's not why we showed up. So more laps, more time on the track, more time to regain if something goes wrong or prove that you did something right, and still go home at 4:30 or 5 o'clock after trophies and not 8 o'clock at night like it could very well be. Mm-hmm. And when you go somewhere and have a good time, you'll go back. And when you feel like it was an hour and a half before your next heat race and the food truck line was out the door and nobody was there to talk to you, the guy behind the parts counter could barely keep up, I don't want to be greedy. I think I'd rather my goal is just to get both at 100 or more is great, but 100 is just fine. And the only reason the two-stroke weekends weren't at 100 was because this year, with everything else that happened, you know, we had to be as careful as I could by building the calendar, but I couldn't make everyone happy. So our supporters like Greg and Cole and Austin Elliott and Nevada Kart Sport, they all couldn't make all of them. You know, they couldn't always be there, but I think they would like to be. I know I would love to have them there. So what's new for this year is I'm going to get more proactive on building the calendar. I've got a year under my belt, so I'm going to look at all the big things that my supporters could potentially get interrupted by and avoid that the best I can, and then figure out when to start. You know, I don't want to wait until March, but I don't think I'm going to start a championship season in January. I think we're going to do something fun. Like, we have the ability to run 5 or 6 quality different layouts at the track, and I envision a weekend where we do 3 different track layouts on Sunday. You know, heat 1 is this, heat 2 is this, the main event is this. Nice. There is no time to prepare. You're going to do it, and it's a one-off special trophy. At Atwater, we called it the turkey race. We did an oval, we did the short track, we did the long track. That was fun. Yeah. So that's what I'm going to focus on, is bringing back some time slots to keep us engaged, keep the oil warm. But we'll start our season, you know, respectively, probably February, March. But we're going to do some fun stuff leading up to that.
That's awesome. Greg, obviously to have Prairie City Kart Track within your region, a great place to be able to base some stuff on. I know that you and I have talked in the last couple of weeks about the fact that you wanted to do some more with Donald's facility, plus from regional racing. Man, like you just said, what's 2022 look like for you? Like you said, 22 races already on your schedule.
It's pretty crazy.
You need to add 8 more.
And Donald, I want to. I mean, I do, because I think you're doing a great job in the sport, and I haven't. You know that I applaud you for everything, because I tell you every time I see you, you're killing it. And for me, it's like, support those who support the sport, and that's a big thing. And you know, for us next year, we've done a couple different series this year that we've enjoyed doing, and they want us to come back. So, you know, there's I haven't done any USPKS stuff, but that's 300 strong entries. So obviously in the national scene of things, that's on the calendar for next year. We're going to split our program up. We're putting a truck and trailer in North Carolina, to where logistically it's not a nightmare for me, and it's easy to get on a plane in and out, to where, you know, just 2 things. One is it takes your budget and greatly reduces it. Two, it brings you into a whole nother category of drivers that you currently don't work with right now. But I'm not leaving Northern California. I just feel that besides Donald, there's a lot of not sure what is going on in Northern California. I mean, Donald, it's, I don't know. I mean, listen, I don't want to be the negative guy, but it's really hard for shops in Northern California to survive today because there's not more Donalds. Okay.
Yeah, I get that. Listen, a strong, vibrant club is what allows shops and more than one, right? Allows clubs or like the local kart tracks to be vibrant. They got to be selling product. Got to be going through consumables. That's what it takes for a kart shop to keep going.
Right. And the bricks and mortar thing, honestly, I mean, being in this industry for, I hate to say it, over 25 years, or I love to say it, whatever you want to say. There was a time where Donald and I were one of like 18 bricks and mortar shops in Northern California. And we were all thriving and we all work off of each other. And that's when, Invader was heavy and Emic and all these shops, Track Magic, they were all thriving, right? We were all thriving together. And hey, Donald, do you have XYZ? Yeah, Greg, I'll get it out today. And hey, Greg, do you have something? Yep, I'll get it out today. So we had a network of working that made it super, super easy to do business in Northern California. The industry has changed so much in the last 10 years that Donald, myself, I'm not sure if Aluminos is full time. I mean, like my front doors are locked since COVID, and I was always debating whether to go appointment only for quite a few years because of the industry scope in Northern California. And it kind of forced me to do it, kind of like I forced Donald to do a 2-race weekend deal. I like it because now I can 100% focus on my clientele, and I can weed out the nickel dime stuff that comes in that's all, fun cart or, GoPed. And I know Donald does a lot of that stuff in his bricks and mortar store. But, for us, it's like, once every month we get a call for something like that. So it's not something we're going to stock or try to play in that field. But besides those 3 shops, I mean, there's no other bricks and mortar shops in Northern California. I mean, I think Austin, and I'm not sure if he's doing it full time or he's doing it, with Speed Sense part time. I'm not sure on that because I know that he just moved into a building, which is a happy sight because I'm in the mindset that the more promotion there is, the more shops that need to feed off the area, the bigger the area is going to get.
Yeah.
And with Donald and I, being really Northern California, and correct me if I'm wrong, Donald, because
we pause our face-to-face broadcast for this quick commercial break. Stay tuned for more here on the EKN Radio Network. If you're searching for a program to elevate you in the motorsports ladder, Crosslink Competition is your next step. Crosslink Competition provides arrive and drive programs that include driver coaching, data analysis, and an engine rental program for all major events in the 2021 season. Team Crosslink is scheduled to compete at the SuperKarts USA Pro Tour, Rock Cup USA, and United States Pro Kart Series events, along with regional and local programs from their home base in Texas. Crosslink Competition is a full retail shop for the Esprit chassis and OTK kart parts. Many new and used packages are available right now through their Dallas headquarters. For drivers interested in making the jump from karting to cars, Crosslink provides a streamlined opportunity for you. Team Crosslink and Kiwi Motorsports is a championship-winning operation in the F4 United States Championship program, providing the perfect transition within the same. Drivers looking to compete with the elite level karting program or pick up gently used team equipment are asked to call 214-432-4413. Be sure to follow them on all social media platforms at Team Crosslink. In Colorado, the place to go for karts and parts and everything else you need to go racing is Forward Direction Motorsports. It's Colorado's premier karting company. Owned and operated by veteran karter Greg Welch, Forward Direction Motorsports is located in Centennial, Colorado. FDM has been developed to provide customer service and product sales at all levels and in both in-person and online. We're a brick and mortar shop that serves as the hub for karting in Colorado, and we're a gateway to new racers who can come in and learn about the sport. We also have an online store and can ship all over the country. We can also service all makes and models of engines and karts. Whatever you race, we can take care of you. Forward Direction Motorsports is a comp kart dealer, an authorized Rotax service center, and we can fully support all Briggs 206 racers. We support local karting 100%, and we also have a race team that takes our customers to major regional and national events on the West Coast. From kart prep and coaching to full arrive and drive packages, we offer something for everyone. You don't have to live in Colorado to experience Full Direction Motorsports' vast experience or dedication to customer service. Our online store continues to expand its inventory, and the products you need are just a mouse click away. Head to fdmkarting.com the next time you need parts and equipment fast. We ship daily. Shop online or come to the store to check out our inventory and visit our service department. Head to fdmkarting.com to learn more about our products and services, or call us direct at 720-323-3650. It all started in 1994 when former successful kart driver Albino Parolin decided to move his passion for karting from the track to his small workshop. That's when Parolin was born. Fast forward 20 years and Parolin's passion for the sport led to the company rejoining international competitions as a factory team in WSK and CIK FIA races, with the aim of enhancing the research and development process, immediately achieving notable results around Europe, North America, and Asia, becoming the CIK FIA Asia Pacific KZ champion in the same year. Parolin USA is North America's source for Parolin products, and we run a factory team at all of the major Superkarts USA and Rock Cup USA events. The Parolin chassis lineup for 2021 includes the Invader Shifter, the Le Mans Tag single-speed chassis for junior and senior classes, and the 28mm mini kart for the cadet classes. Parolin has been winning races all over the world, and it's on top of the podium in the USA as well, with drivers like Kai Sorensen, Mateus Orjuela, and Alessandro De Tullio. Get on the chassis that's winning. Drive a Parolin. For more information, head to ParolinUSA.com. Welcome back to Face2Face on the EKN Radio Network.
I mean, it's hard for one gas station. Yeah, one gas station is going to kill it on the corner, but they don't have any competition, right? So if you're one gas station on that corner, you're going to be like, hey, those guys are $4 a gallon. But I can go over, 5 blocks away and there's 4 gas stations on this corner and they're fighting for fuel. I can get it for $3.80. So the more competition we have in sales and everything, the better it is for the region. And we don't have a lot of that going on. Like, there's not a lot of inventory in Northern California today. It's pretty crazy to me. But we're not growing in a time where, in my belief, we should be killing it.
And the sport
and
growing.
I say that in Northern California, our sales elsewise, we're 30% up for the year, over 19. I mean, we're killing it. But it's also because we're hustling and we're in a lot of different states in a lot of different weeks. That's what it takes.
Yeah, and Donald, obviously you're doing it at home, right? You're growing, like you said. You've got guys coming into the track on the rental program. You're taking them and bringing them into the sport, which you're essentially kind of building your own customers coming out of the rental program.
Yeah, but I'm not doing it alone, and I think it's fair to say that I'm grateful to have great support when he can. Rodney is in Nevada, and he's always driving down, and he's bringing a lot of folks. Cole Nelson's always making the drive. Yeah. Austin Elliott is in a shop full time, and he's always out there.
Awesome. Austin's a good guy, man.
So it's not alone. What it is I'm lucky enough to be a place that they want to go, and just like you've all talked about, once that happens, well, I don't want to go there and be alone. So let's go there. Let's go there. Let's go there. Their phone rings and says, "Yep, we're going to be at the Prairie City Club this weekend." So they bring their customers. That's what's happening. It turns out it's a nice place to be.
Yeah.
But I'm lucky to have everybody around me wanting to go to the same spot.
That's numbers breed numbers. We've talked about that, right, David?
Right.
All the time.
All the time. Well, listen, both of you, congratulations on your successes in 2022. Greg, of course, a great season. Looks like things are going to be big for you. Some expansion east, as you said, for next year in the USPKS. But Donald, man, hearing Greg talk about it and everybody's that said things, you guys have done such good work at Prairie City. And listen, if the IKF GrandNationals can get some momentum rolling into 2022 and beyond, we'll definitely be able to look back at what you've been able to do this past year. Congratulations on a great event here this season.
Thank you very much.
Well, guys, we'll wrap things up here right now. Greg Bell, thank you for joining me. Donald Durbin from Prairie City Kart Track. David, we can drop those guys off. You know, it's the IKF program. When I first got into the sport in the mid-'90s, and working for my magazine in Canada called Performance Racing News, then I picked up the position as the editor at large for National Kart News. One of the big things was the IKF GrandNationals. Man, I learned that really, really quickly. The chase for the Duffy, and then being able to see that kind of develop and then fade away a little bit in the 2000s, which was sad. I like seeing it come back because it's an iconic trophy in our sport, and I think history is something that we have in the sport of karting. It's something we got to take care of, and I love seeing on social media people really getting excited about being able to chase after a Duffy again.
Well, it's something we've written about multiple times on the website. It's one of the most coveted trophies to have. And as you said, it's it's lost that luster. But now we're having the event come back and people are like, well, what's this trophy all about? So again, you have to reteach a new generation of karters because, again, with our sport, the average lifespan was 3 years. So
that's it, right?
You're into year 30 now or 25, somewhere in that range there. So, but as you saw in our chat, there's a lot of people that want to win a Duffy. They understand what it is.
Yeah.
There's people that are West Coast based that are now living out on the East Coast or Race Liberante, and some others that are like, man, yeah, I want to race for a Duffy. So we've always talked about, should the Duffy go to another event? We've talked about that in the past, and maybe it doesn't have to now that it has that momentum built with this event from the past year. They were up at Pat's Acres, I believe, or somewhere else in previous years as well. So it's kind of hopefully getting that momentum back.
Well, it's the growth of the categories that run for the GrandNationals, which is the IAME 2-cycle categories and the Briggs 206 continue to grow. So the engine's there, the platforms are there. And again, coming off this great event this year, hopefully they can get the new venue planned and the date out there so we can promote it as well. But the bottom line is this, David, when it comes down to this particular podcast, just to see what Donald Durbin and his family have been able to do at Prairie City, we just need more Donald Durbins in the sport, right? We need more people with that kind of passion for not only having a track and being a track owner and a promoter, but also the customer service side of it as well. You and I keep talking about the fact this sport is about having fun, getting out and having fun, being able to race. It's not always about the top 5% who run national level and try to become pros. For the most part, the foundation of our sport are club racers who just want to go out and be able to race.
Yeah, maybe it's because he's gotten to that certain age now where he understands that karting is fun, and it's But
he's got enough championships on the resume.
Exactly,
right?
We don't have either of those, but we have age, so we're kind of at least similar in that role. But yeah, it's just, again, that's what we're here for. People talk about how it's a hobby. Well, it is a hobby, but it's also a lifestyle.
Yeah, it is.
The Durbin family, it's been their lifestyle, it's been their income, it's been their way of life. So there's very few of those. You have the Dismore and Adams family in Newcastle and other places across the country. But again, it's a very small list of people that have that passion and that drive to want to just, again, put on an event that people are going to remember and talk about.
That's it. And this one they were talking about, folks, the IKF, the International Kart Federation, their GrandNationals this past month, October 15th to 17th was when they had it at Prairie City. A lot of great feedback. We had a lot of information from people too saying they absolutely loved it. Maybe this is that cool thing that people will go, hey, they did it this way. we'll try it that way as well. Let's hope that this event continues to grow, and that Duffy, which is so important to so many people in their careers and their memories of the sport, continues to get that position it deserves in, of course, the sport of karting. Big thank you to Donald Durbin for joining us, Greg Bell from Leading Edge Motorsports. David, thank you so much, folks. Those of you tuning in, this will be a podcast very soon as well. Lots more face-to-faces to come. Some of you talked about bringing more people on, some of the other industry players from Northern California. We've already talked about that. That's in the works. And people mentioned Rodney Rivera from Nevada Kart Sport, Cole Nelson, Austin Elliott, a number of people, their names brought up. They're going to be very likely part of a new podcast we have coming. Just more to talk about what's going on in NorCal karting. Thank you so much for joining us here on EKN. On behalf of David Cole, I'm Rob Howden. Bye for now.